And good evening now. We begin tonight's broadcast with a story that's been having many of you talking all night. Late today, a Manhattan jury convicting former President Trump of falsifying business records, making him the first former president to be convicted of a felony. Tonight, Trump continues to maintain his innocence, vowing to appeal and now turning his focus on the November election. Here's Michael George.
Moments after his historic conviction, former President Donald Trump denounced the verdict, finding him guilty of all 34 counts in connection with a hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels.
This was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here. We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man.
The only voice that matters is the voice of the jury, and the jury has spoken.
People gathered here outside the Manhattan Criminal Courthouse expressed their opinions about this history-making verdict.
And just to see that, a president can be found guilty, a president can be held accountable, I think is an incredible show of democracy.
This is political prosecution, and there's absolutely nothing behind this case. And I hope they appeal it.
During the trial, Trump's former lawyer and fixer, Michael Cohen, helped prosecutors draw a link between Trump and charges he falsified business records to disguise reimbursements for a $130,000 payment. Prosecutors argued that was to buy Daniels silence about an alleged 2006 sexual encounter with Trump. Trump denies the encounter ever took place. In closing arguments, Trump's lead attorney called Cohen the MVP of liars.
They knew that they didn't always have perfect evidence, but every moment they tried to say, we're backing it up. You don't just have to believe Michael Cohen. Look at what everybody else is telling you as well.
The judge set Trump's sentencing for July 11th, 4 days before the Republican National Convention. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
And here locally, many in the Midlands watched today's verdict with opinions split along party lines. Tonight, Nate Stanley spoke with your neighbors about the jury's decision and a local political expert about the significance of it all.
This is very historic. We have never had a major party nominee who's running for president be convicted of any crime, let alone a number of felonies like we just had happen today.
A historic afternoon in America, according to USC politics professor Chase Meyer. He, like many others in Columbia, got the news about former President Trump's conviction Thursday afternoon. Josie Bedenbow says she was watching updates on the trial and wasn't surprised by the verdict.
I mean, I wasn't shocked to hear that. I was happy because I think that it was deserved.
But Angela Kerr-Smith says the decision to convict doesn't make her happy.
I do feel like this is it's kind of out there and it's just kind of obvious to most people, I think, if you just really kind of take off your rose-colored glasses and see what's going on here.
Johnny Owens says seeing a former president convicted of a crime was surprising and hard to comprehend.
That is a little odd, no, not a little odd, very unusual for this to even be a consideration based on that kind of information.
Bedenbow says she doesn't think this will change voters' minds in November.
I think that the people who ride for him are gonna probably still vote for him. It doesn't really change the way I felt.
Regardless of someone's stance on this verdict, Owens is hoping people will come together this year.
Come together collectively and make a good decision for what's good going forward for the country.
In West Columbia, Nate Stanley, News 19, WLTX.
We also have reaction tonight from leaders across the state. The governor telling us tonight the American people understand that this trial was nothing more than a political attack on President Trump, saying voters will respond decisively at the ballot box in November. Also now, Senator Tim Scott, who's been mentioned as a possible vice presidential running mate for Trump, is calling today's verdict an absolute injustice. Take a listen.
I can't believe the hoax, this sham, this absolute injustice justice system. D.A. Bragg and the judge should be ashamed of themselves. This isn't just ridiculous. This actually erodes the confidence that Americans have in the justice system.
On the Democratic side tonight, 6th District Congressman Jim Clyburn releasing a one-line statement saying the jury has spoken and justice has prevailed. Meanwhile, the Biden campaign also reacting tonight, saying the verdict means no one is above the law and that the American people will make their decision at the ballot box. We also had a chance to catch up this evening with our State House insiders to get their take on the verdict. Take a listen.
The judicial system has had its say in the process. It does not impact what happens in November. And so Democrats and others have to stay focused on the November election and let the judicial system play itself out. I'm happy that the system, who traditionally has been for some and broken for others, has held the former president accountable and is proof that no one is above the law.
Today's verdict is a prime example that we have selective prosecution that goes on in America all the time. There are plenty of crimes that are committed that we simply don't have enough of a burgeoning judicial system to be able to handle. So what did we do? We sat around and we prosecuted a former president for allegedly, or now guilty of, paying money to tell somebody that he didn't want to talk about them having sex. That's what our judicial session has come down to with this case.
As for what's next now, sentencing takes place July 11th, 4 days before the Republican presidential convention. The former president could be sentenced to prison, house arrest, probation, or face a hefty fine. If you'd like more coverage of today's verdict, you will find it right now on our website. Simply go to WLTX.com.